Way too many first-time travelers to Iceland make this crucial mistake before they even land in the country. And I'm willing to bet that if you're planning a trip to Iceland, you're likely making this same mistake without realizing how much time, money, and effort it is taking away from you, as well as adding on stress that isn't even necessary. For anyone that's new here, my name is Jules. I moved from the US to Iceland in 2016, and I've been helping people plan epic adventures in the country since 2018. And the mistake that I'm talking about that most first-time travelers to Iceland make has to do with size. When you look at Iceland on a map, it looks so tiny in comparison to the other countries around it. And yes, it is smaller in terms of size, but that does not dictate how much time it takes to get around places. I've seen it time and time again through my one-on-one consultations when I talk with people, which I have done hundreds of them over the years, in which people are trying to pack in a crazy amount, like going all around the country in a 5-day trip, not really understanding that distance does not equal time in Iceland. So to give you an example of this, if you wanted to visit Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon, you would have to drive from Reykjavik for 5 hours without stopping. And there are plenty of things to stop and see along the way. And so if you want to make this into a day trip, if you were only going to stay in Reykjavik, then you end up having at least minimally 10 hours of driving, plus whatever time you need to see those sites. And there are plenty of other places in the country that take even more hours just to get there and back. This can start to pile on quite a complicated set of circumstances for people if you aren't aware of that time and distance are not going to equally be the same. So this can mess up your plans if you've packed in a bunch of things that are far from each other and are trying to do it within a 3-day or 5-day time span. And even though we have the Ring Road, which is one road that goes all around the country, there are still other parts of the country that are not specifically on the Ring Road. So you'd have to drive off, and that can include windy roads that take a long time if you're going to drive into fjords, which is gorgeous, but it just adds on a lot more time than you might think for the distance. Windstorms can happen anytime in Iceland. There can be snowstorms, of course, in the wintertime, icy conditions on the road, different things are happening, one-lane bridges. There's so much to take into account that'll help you create an itinerary for yourself, but you have to know these things beforehand. And then if you think about seasonally, the daylight in winter is way shorter than it would be in the summertime, or at least even on the shoulder seasons, which is spring and fall. And even in places where things are relatively close to each other, I've heard people try to do the Golden Circle, for instance, in the morning and then the South Coast in the afternoon. While that is extremely ambitious and technically could be possible, it would also be extremely exhausting and not necessary if you knew how to strategically break up your days. I'm speaking from personal experience that I learned this the hard way because when I started traveling around Iceland in 2016, I was with a company that was a big tourism company, so I was learning a lot about nature and different sites. When I went off on my own and started making my own itineraries and just going to different places that looked fascinating, I too was cramming it in because I only had a certain amount of days. Even though I live here, it didn't mean that I just had unlimited time to just freely roam around Iceland. And so if I had 5 days here, 6 days there, I'm going out, I'm seeing something. I would often put in so much in terms of driving, like 8-10 hours of driving. I would be exhausted, not enjoying myself, and eventually just being like, I want to go home and lay in my bed and not get up for a few days. And I don't want that for you. Now, granted, I know that when you come here, for a lot of people, they just want to rush through and do what they can because this might be the only time they come to Iceland. Luckily, people have been making return trips after they come to Iceland for the first time and fall in love. But if you are trying to get the best bang for your buck and time, there's still a way to do it strategically so that you're not burnt out after your vacation, which is supposed to be a fun time. So in order to help you create a customized itinerary that fits your needs, your travel style, how much time you'll be here, and your travel pace, I am hosting a live Iceland Trip Planning Workshop that's coming up January 31st. So I hosted one of these workshops back in September and it was a hit because in 60 minutes, you can create your own 5-day itinerary for Iceland, regardless of the season, regardless of your travel style, meaning if you want to go fast and do a lot of things, or you want to go at a slower pace. This workshop will be the first of 2026. I'm super excited, but it also gives you a head start if you're planning to come this year or even beyond, because things are getting booked up. And of course, after the live Iceland Trip Planning Workshop, I have a open question and answer section, so people can ask me as many questions as they want in order to clear up anything that they need for their specific trip or just things they're interested in regarding Iceland. I'm doing a giveaway of Iceland related prizes. One of those giveaways being a one-on-one trip planning consultation with me. And one person will get that, which I love doing them, but I only have very few slots available throughout the year. You're definitely gonna wanna show up to the workshop if you want the opportunity to potentially have me help you one-on-one. The link for the workshop is below in the description. Check that out if you want clarity, confidence, and a solid plan that gets rid of any of the stress and overwhelm of trying to shift through blog posts and social media posts about what to do, see, and how to spend your time in Iceland. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with somebody who you know is planning a trip to Iceland, because one of the hardest things is really getting a solid plan for yourself that includes flexibility for spontaneity, but takes into account the variables here that can be a little bit challenging if you're not aware of them in the first place. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.